Have you ever felt an inexplicable discomfort around someone, as if their very presence saps the energy from the room? It's a subtle, unspoken tension that hints at something amiss. Evil doesn't always present itself with a sinister grin or an obvious threat. More often, it hides behind a friendly demeanor, speaking with charm and initially appearing helpful. Such individuals don't need a specific reason to cause harm. It's ingrained in their nature. They manipulate, deceive, and control not through overt force, but by gradually undermining your confidence, peace, and even your grasp on reality. In Stoicism, we're taught to protect our minds and spirits, to discern what lies within our control. A crucial life skill is recognizing those who intend us harm before they get too close, because malevolence is seldom obvious until it's too late. The good news is that malevolence leaves clues. There are clear warning signs, red flags that, if observed, can reveal a person's true character. By identifying these signs, you can safeguard not only your peace, but also your very sense of self. In this video, I'll guide you through 6 potent red flags that expose toxic, manipulative individuals around you. By learning these, you won't just avoid pain, you'll reclaim your strength. Before we begin, if you're ready to protect your peace and elevate your mindset, consider subscribing. Now let's delve into it. Red flag number 1. They habitually lie or distort the truth. Truth is the bedrock of trust, and without it, relationships disintegrate. An evil person disregards the truth, not out of necessity, but out of desire. Deception isn't merely a tool for them, it's a lifestyle. They lie to manipulate, to control, and to keep you in a state of uncertainty, making you question what's real and what's not. Initially, their lies may seem trivial, a slight exaggeration here, a minor distortion there. But over time, the pattern becomes undeniable. One day they assert something confidently, only to deny it later when confronted. If you challenge them, they feign offense, accusing you of misremembering, being overly sensitive, or fabricating things. Gradually, doubt creeps in. Maybe you misunderstood, maybe you're overthinking. That's their trap. A truly malicious liar doesn't just deceive, they reshape reality. They gaslight, twisting events so you start second-guessing your own memory and instincts. One moment you're certain of the truth, the next you're lost in a fog of confusion. This is intentional. A confused mind is easier to control. Reflect on times they could have been honest but chose not to. Moments where honesty would have cost them nothing, yet they still opted for deception. Why? Because to them, lying isn't just about avoiding trouble, it's about power. They lie to gain an advantage, to test boundaries, to see how much they can get away with. They fabricate stories, twist words, and distort facts, not out of necessity, but because they can. The most unsettling part? They never feel guilt. A Stoic understands that clarity of mind is essential for a virtuous life. If someone constantly manipulates the truth, they're not just dishonest, they're dangerous. Every interaction becomes a game, a mental battlefield where you're left exhausted, drained, and unsure of what's real. And that's exactly what they want. But you don't have to play. If someone in your life fits this pattern, don't dismiss it as a bad habit or a minor character flaw. It's a red flag waving right in front of you. The longer you tolerate their deceit, the more control they gain over your thoughts, emotions, and sense of reality. Ask yourself, are you constantly questioning your own perception around them? Do you feel uneasy, as if something is always off? If the answer is yes, step back, protect your mind, and most importantly, trust your instincts. Because an evil person will never hand you the truth. It's up to you to see it for yourself. Red flag number 2, they love conflict. A sure sign you're dealing with someone whose intentions are far from virtuous is their relentless attraction to conflict. While most people seek harmony, preferring to address disputes with kindness or, at the very least, maintain a respectful distance from turmoil, these individuals thrive in chaos. Much like a moth drawn to a flame, they are magnetically pulled toward discord. In their wake, they sow seeds of division, orchestrating drama as if it were a grand theatrical production, relishing every performance. A Stoic mind recognizes that external conflicts are often beyond our control, but our response, our discipline, and our inner peace remain ours to govern. However, these conflict enthusiasts aim to dismantle precisely that stability. They feed on tension, eagerly fanning the flames of misunderstanding, sometimes with no motive beyond the sheer enjoyment of watching others unravel. Consider the subtle ways they operate, planting small doubts, resurrecting old resentments, and whispering half-truths into the ears of mutual friends. A passing comment here, a suggestive glance there, and suddenly, the air is thick with suspicion. They don't just observe conflict, they manufacture it. And when conversations take a sour turn, watch closely. You'll catch that fleeting flicker of satisfaction, a momentary spark of triumph revealing their true delight in others' distress. Imagine a simple family gathering, filled with laughter and shared memories until they drop a precisely timed remark that ignites tension between two relatives. Within moments, the warmth turns cold, harmony dissolves into unease, and while everyone is left confused and frustrated, they quietly fade into the background, watching the chaos unfold like a spectator at a tragic play. A Stoic mindset teaches us that while we cannot control the storms others create, we can safeguard our own minds. Yet these individuals don't merely stir the pot, they revel in the heartbreak, the fractured relationships, the emotional toll. And if confronted, they rarely take responsibility. Instead, they feign innocence, play the victim, or claim, "I was just speaking the truth." Perhaps the most alarming trait of these instigators is their complete lack of empathy. They see no value in harmony or human connection, only in the turmoil they create. Conflict is their currency, and every tear shed, every friendship strained is proof of their influence. By manipulating emotions through intentional drama, they seize control over others, a power that Stoic philosophy urges us to guard zealously. The best defense? Upholding the boundaries of your inner peace. If someone consistently steers conversations toward confrontation, pits people against each other, or seems to take pleasure in rising tensions, take it as the warning it is. You deserve to be surrounded by individuals who value harmony, respect, and understanding, not those who treat relationships as a stage for endless strife. As the Stoics advise, we must remain vigilant in choosing the influences we allow into our lives. And when necessary, we must walk away from those whose pursuit of chaos can only drag us down. Red flag number 3. They make you feel like you're always at fault. A mind in doubt is a mind that can be controlled. Those with manipulative intentions understand this well, and that's why they use one of the most insidious tactics, gaslighting. They don't need chains or threats to control you, just a steady erosion of your confidence, making you question your reality until you rely on them to tell you what's true. At first, it's subtle. You express frustration, and they tell you you're overreacting. You recall an event differently, and they insist it never happened. You bring up something hurtful they said, and they scoff, "You're too sensitive." Over time, you begin to second-guess yourself. Did I misunderstand? Am I being too emotional? Maybe the problem isn't them, it's me. That's exactly what they want you to believe. A person who truly cares about you will listen even if they disagree. But a manipulator isn't interested in understanding. You're not someone they want to communicate with. You're someone they want to control. Their goal is to make you feel unstable, uncertain, and ultimately dependent on them for validation. The more you doubt yourself, the more power they gain. Picture this. You're in a disagreement and you know you're right. You remember the conversation clearly, but they insist you're mistaken. They twist details, rewrite events, and make you feel foolish for even bringing it up. Suddenly, you're no longer defending your point, you're defending your sanity. Red flag number 4. They play the victim in every situation. Life is full of challenges, and hardship spares no one. A strong person faces difficulties with resilience, taking responsibility for their choices. But an evil person, they wear their victimhood like armor, shielding themselves from accountability while wielding it as a weapon against others. To them, nothing is ever their fault. They blame the world, their past, the people around them, anyone but themselves. When things go wrong, they don't reflect or grow. They point fingers, and worst of all, they expect you to buy into their sob story, to feel sorry for them, to excuse their behavior. After all, they've had it so hard. At first, this may seem like harmless self-pity, but over time, a pattern emerges. Their problems never improve no matter how much you help. Their misfortunes always seem exaggerated. Their suffering, somehow always worse than anyone else's. They drain you emotionally, using your empathy like a leash to keep you tethered to their never-ending cycle of misery. And if you dare to hold them accountable, if you set a boundary, they flip the script instantly. How could you do this to me? You're the one hurting me. Suddenly, you're the villain. Your reasonable request becomes an attack. Their failure to change becomes your fault. They distort reality, making you question whether you were too harsh, too insensitive, too selfish, for simply prioritizing your own well-being. This isn't just emotional manipulation, it's control. The Stoics teach that while external events are beyond our control, our response to them is always within our power. A person who refuses to take responsibility for their life isn't just weak, they're dangerous. Because when someone never owns their actions, they will always find a way to place the burden on you. So, ask yourself, are you constantly making excuses for them? Do you feel guilty for setting basic boundaries? Have you been pulled into their endless cycle of problems only to realize they never truly want a solution, just more sympathy? If so, it's time to step back. You are not responsible for fixing someone who refuses to help themselves. You are not obligated to stay in relationships built on guilt and manipulation. A person who clings to victimhood at the expense of others isn't just toxic, they are a threat to your peace. Recognize the pattern, refuse to be controlled by their false narrative, and most importantly, walk away. Red flag number 5. They constantly criticize you but never acknowledge your successes. There's a particular kind of poison that doesn't kill you outright but weakens you over time. Constant, unrelenting criticism. It doesn't come in the form of direct attacks or blatant insults. Instead, it seeps into your mind through small, carefully placed comments. Always pointing out what you lack, never what you achieve. An evil person will rarely celebrate your victories. No matter how hard you work, how much you grow, or what you accomplish, it will never be enough for them. If you succeed, they'll downplay it. If you improve, they'll shift the goalpost. And if you dare to feel proud of yourself, they'll be right there to remind you of everything you could have done better. Picture this. You spend weeks on a project, pushing yourself to do your best. Finally, you achieve what you set out to do, excited to share your success with someone close to you. Their response? A cold shrug, a dismissive, "That's good, but you could have done better." Or worse, they compare your achievement to theirs, making sure to remind you that they've done more, done better, and always will. This isn't constructive criticism. This is deliberate erosion. A Stoic knows that external validation is fleeting, but even the strongest mind can be worn down by constant negativity. Evil people understand this. They don't want to see you grow. They want to see you doubt yourself. They plant seeds of insecurity, ensuring that over time you begin to believe their voice more than your own. And the most insidious part? While they diminish your achievements, they elevate their own. They boast about their successes, their superiority, always positioning themselves above you. It's not just about making you feel small. It's about making themselves feel powerful. But you must remember this. Their words do not define you. Stoics teach us to measure ourselves by our own principles, our own progress, not by the opinions of those who seek to break us down. So ask yourself, does someone in your life constantly criticize you, yet never lift you up? Do they make you feel like no success is ever good enough? Have they convinced you that their voice is more trustworthy than your own? If so, it's time to step back. No one has the right to make you feel unworthy. Recognize the pattern, protect your mind, and never let someone else's bitterness become the measure of your worth. Step away from those who only seek to diminish you. Your growth is not theirs to control. Red flag number 6. They show no empathy or compassion. If there is one trait that separates the virtuous from the wicked, it is empathy, the ability to share in another's joy, to feel another's pain, to recognize the humanity in those around us. It is what binds people together, but an evil person feels nothing. Not for you, not for anyone. Their indifference is chilling. You could be suffering, breaking under the weight of grief, and they will stand there unmoved. If they acknowledge your pain at all, it will be with cold detachment. Life's unfair. You'll get over it. Or worse, they'll make it about themselves, steering the conversation away as if your emotions are nothing more than an inconvenience. Imagine experiencing a deep personal loss, the death of a loved one, a devastating failure, heartbreak. You turn to them, hoping for understanding, for even the smallest display of kindness. Instead, you receive a blank stare, a shrug, a dismissive comment like, "It happens to everyone." In that moment, their lack of humanity becomes impossible to ignore. The Stoics teach us to temper our emotions, to remain resilient in the face of adversity, but they never advocate for coldness. True strength does not mean a lack of empathy. It means choosing to act with wisdom and compassion. Evil people, however, mistake apathy for power. They don't see others as fellow human beings. They see them as tools, things to be used, discarded, or ignored when no longer useful. Their emotional emptiness creates a suffocating presence. When you're around them, you don't feel seen. You feel invisible. You don't feel understood. You feel alone. And that is exactly how they want you to feel, because isolation makes you easier to control. But here's the truth. You are not small. You are not invisible. If someone repeatedly dismisses your emotions, refuses to acknowledge your struggles, or treats your existence as insignificant, believe them. A person without empathy is not just emotionally distant. They are dangerous. Because, if they cannot care about your pain, they will have no hesitation in causing it. Recognize the warning, protect your spirit, and never waste your time trying to find warmth in someone who has none to give. The absence of empathy is not just a flaw. It is a warning sign. Walk away before their emptiness drains you too. I know this may feel like a lot to take in. Recognizing these red flags isn't always easy, especially when emotions are involved, when you want to believe the best in someone. But understanding these signs can save you from years of pain, manipulation, and self-doubt. Evil people don't always come with a warning. They slip into your life unnoticed, chipping away at your confidence, your peace, your sense of self. But here's the truth. You don't owe your energy to those who drain you. The moment you recognize these patterns, you have a choice to step back, to protect yourself, to reclaim your power, even if it's difficult, even if it means walking away from someone you once trusted. Your peace is worth more than their presence. If this message resonated with you, I want to hear your thoughts. Have you ever encountered someone like this? How did you handle it? Or are you still navigating that situation? Share your story in the comments. You never know who might need to hear it. And if you're on a journey of self-growth and self-protection, make sure to subscribe. There's so much more to explore about recognizing toxic people, building resilience, and mastering your mindset. Until next time, take care of your heart, guard your mind, and always trust your instincts. Until then, act wisely and act stoic.